Hey, I'm Lenny.
And I'm Gavin, and together we're known as Short Attention Spa.
You're listening to our new daily-ish podcast, Comedians Calling Comedians During Corona. Our live shows got canceled, so we're planning to go viral instead.
We're setting out to flatten the curve and give you and ourselves some laughs each day by calling comedians from around the world.
Sometimes our moms might be on too.
Mom, we're recording a podcast.
We're available on all the podcast platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the other ones. Please subscribe, and you can watch the video version of this call on our YouTube channel, Short Attention Spa.
I have no idea what day today is, but this is episode 11.
Our guest today is the co-founder of Minds at Play. He's an improv actor, teacher, and corporate training facilitator based in Beijing, China. His improv education has taken him all over the world, from UCB in his hometown, New York, to distinctive improv ecosystems such as Chicago, Manila, Melbourne, Singapore, and Tokyo. He performs regularly with Beijing Improv in Beijing, as well as at international improv festivals.
Let's give Jay Wang a call. Jay? Hey, Jay.
Hey, Jay,
how's
it going? Doing all right.
Good.
How
are you guys?
Good, thank you.
I love the background.
Thanks. Yeah,
Thanks.
Well, it's nighttime here, so this is our nighttime edition. I'm in space.
I love the. I can see that.
You got some beautiful natural light there. What time is it?
It's morning, 10 a.m. in Beijing, so about 12-hour time difference. Yeah.
Right on. Well, thanks so much
Not sure if it's against the light. I don't know if I should adjust it.
No, it's like an art
Okay.
film. It's nice.
Okay.
Good.
Nice.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us, Jay. As you say, you're in Beijing.
Yeah.
Do you want to just tell us a little bit about what you do there in comedy usually? Start with that.
Yeah. Pleasure to be here. I've been involved in the Beijing improv scene for 9 years now. So I started out with my own bilingual improv troupe here called Plus One. We did Chinese and English improv. And then after a few years, I joined the longest running improv troupe in China, actually. We're called Beijing Improv. So that's the group that I've been affiliated with for the last 6 years or so. And personally, I've also started my own corporate training business here called Minds at Play. So we apply improv in areas like corporate training and also educational workshops, training teachers here as well. And just really spreading the joy of improv, using yes and to build effective communication, and just creating more positive workplaces. So that's something that I'm really passionate about, is spreading that joy to people who have never heard of it.
That's awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I take it most of that work that you do, obviously in the theater, but in outreach to business too. That's
right.
Generally that's one-on-one, or do you do a bit of that? Video?
It's mostly in person in larger groups. So 20 or more. We've done groups of 80, 100 people workshops for companies like Chinese tech companies, Alibaba, Tencent, but also Mercedes. We've worked with Harvard Business School here. So a wide range of clients across the board.
Cool.
Right. So, but in person, but not so much online. Have you tried that recently?
No, that's something that we're still kind of developing. The improv community here has done some outreach in terms of just getting some teachers from the applied improv scene in the US. We've done some Zoom calls. We're still doing weekly practices with our improv troupe. So we're all kind of trying out this new mode of connection. As you know, improv, I think the most optimal way of connecting through improv is obviously in person. So we're trying to use technology and build those connections. And I think for me, I used to work in product. So for me, this is the iterative stage where we're trying a lot of new things. We're experimenting. We're seeing what works. We're seeing what maybe doesn't work. And we're making it better every time. So that's the process right now.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's everybody's trying to feel their way through it right now. But maybe we can just step back and take a little bit of a look at the bigger picture of the context of coronavirus. And I guess just start maybe by describing what it's been like being there as this has become a reality.
Yeah, it's kind of weird now, like looking at it, because I see what's happening in Europe and obviously in the US and North America. And it feels like what we were going through 2 months ago. So I think we were personally impacted in January. So around the time of Chinese New Year, so late January is when the outbreak really kind of spread out of control. There was that lockdown in Wuhan. Actually, one of my roommates is from Hubei province, so from that area, and she and her husband, so she's Chinese, her husband is American. They had train tickets booked to Wuhan the day before the lockdown happened, and I was like, guys, you really want to reconsider this? Like, please don't go.
Wow! So they didn't end up going.
They wisely ended up returning their tickets, canceling their trip, and the next day the lockdown happened. So they would have been trapped in Wuhan.
Wow.
For who knows how long. He might have been airlifted out by the U.S. government.
Right.
But it was just,
wow.
Yeah, it was.
Thank goodness.
It was pretty crazy.
That's close.
Yeah, definitely.
So
I was supposed to go down
personal
to the States with my family last week, and we canceled it just a few days before the trip, and just a few days before they closed. Well, not closed the borders, but told people to stop traveling.
Right.
Yeah.
And you guys are
a month, 6 weeks ahead of us.
Sorry, we're not in Montreal. We're in Prince Edward County, which is, you never have heard of.
Okay.
It's a rural place.
I've heard of Prince.
You've heard of Prince Edward Island.
Islands, right.
Province. But we're in Ontario.
We're the other Prince Edward Island.
We're Prince Edward County, and we're kind of between Toronto and Montreal. So we're
so
about halfway between the two cities.
Yeah, that's right. It's about
kind of
2.5 hour drive each way, kind of thing.
Okay.
So it's pretty good, and it's really beautiful here. It's like the country, lots of farms and lots of tourism. We have a nice beach that a lot of tourists come to in the summer, and that's all on my space station.
So it's like a natural quarantine site. Like you don't even need to shut yourself in. This is like, it's perfect, right?
Yeah, we can go for walks in the woods and stuff, which is cool. But so how has that affected comedy? I guess live shows have stopped there, or are they starting?
Yeah, I mean, everything has kind of screeched to a halt. Anything that has to do with gatherings of people is no longer possible. I have a lot of friends who are involved in stand-up comedy here. They've also have had to find ways to move content online, move this sort of person-to-person communication online. So everything's come to a halt. But I think people are taking this time to work on their craft and really reflect on what they truly want to do. And I think that's maybe the silver lining behind it all. you finally get this chance to breathe and be like, okay, well, I'm not doing anything anyway, so why
So
don't
we might
I
as well make
figure
a
out
dumb podcast.
right
We
and try new
decided,
things
yeah.
and see what sticks,
or
right?
whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so have people have been okay with it and have been kind of complying and stuff? I guess it's probably a little bit different in China than it is in North America society
Yeah.
wise, but
So I think in Western media, I think there's a portrayal of this authoritarian regime kind of dictating everything and people kind of falling in line. There is that aspect for sure. I think that helps with the state control. But I think China also has the infrastructure there to support this sort of community-based organization. So each little neighborhood now, each community is kind of ensuring their own survival in a way. You have community volunteers checking people's passes. So we all have passes to get back into our like apartment buildings. They're all in these compounds.
okay.
And you have people checking in on folks who are self-quarantined. And people are, just being sensible, wearing their masks. No one's out hoarding toilet paper or anything like that. Like everything is running pretty smoothly. And China in the last few years has gone on to like a digital based system. So everything is online now. The logistics is running very smoothly. People are ordering like groceries online and having them delivered. So everything's kind of functioning pretty well. And it's a little shocking because I'm from New York, and my mom and my brother are there. It's kind of shocking to hear from them like how much the U.S. is struggling, right? Because you see China still as somewhat of like a third world country, and you see America as this, it's the most powerful country in the world, and we have shit figured out. But actually, we don't, and that. That to me is deeply troubling in a lot of ways.
Well, it's definitely scary in New York City right now. I mean, have you found like in Beijing, was there the capacity in the hospitals and the ventilators? I mean, you see in Italy, they don't have enough ventilators, and I mean, were you hit with that much of a surge that there wasn't the capacity for it?
Yeah, so Beijing, luckily we were never hit hard by this. I think it was mostly contained in southern China. So in the north, we haven't had the level of impact. There's been a few hundred corona cases here in Beijing and kind of tapering off, but it was never a thing that people were really, really seriously concerned about. Obviously, nationwide people were, but for us here, it's been more about prevention. You see public service announcements everywhere. People are being very cautious, obviously. But yeah, hospitals haven't been overtaxed. But yeah, in the north, especially in Wuhan, obviously, yeah, people were fighting for their lives. You had, this shortage of protective equipment for doctors and nurses that you see in a lot of places now. So yeah, recently a few friends actually have organized shipment of masks from China to other places around the world. So most masks today are produced in China. So we're trying to do our best to help get them out to people who need them, especially professionals, right?
Yeah,
That's
it's
great.
obviously a big thing. I guess one thing that I was wondering is, like, are people making jokes about it? Like, is the comedy like are there corona
too
jokes or
I'm in a few chat groups with comedians who definitely are, but it's in private, and it's definitely not something that we're broadcasting.
Right.
I think in China it's a little bit too soon. Folks are still recovering from it. I think down the line definitely will be a lot more. But right now it's more in private. Yeah, mostly messages back and forth.
Right. Okay. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
that makes sense.
What are you saying to your friends and family back in the States? Like, are you able to give them some insight or some advice?
Yes. So my roommate and I, we're both improvisers. And originally we were like, oh, should we write, some Facebook posts and just tell people we're right? And instead of doing that, we actually filmed like us walking through the streets of Beijing. This is in February, before it became a worldwide thing. We were just documenting it for our own sake. We were thinking, wow, this would be like a cool time to remember, this empty city, and kind of the impact of this virus on business, on person to person relations. And so we made a series of videos kind of documenting that life. And now it seems kind of quaint and
yeah, changes so fast, eh?
Yeah. Yeah. So the entire world is now going through what we were going through, a month ago.
Yeah. Well, but I guess, like you say, there is it will go down. Like there will be the curve will come out the other end.
Yeah. And hopefully summertime will help, right? With rising temperatures. We'll.
Right.
But back to your previous point, I think it is important to have humor and comedy. I think there's definitely a place for it. And one of my good friends, he's this Boston-based comedian. Well, now, but he was in Beijing for many years. He actually did a stand-up set in Boston, raising money for Wuhan, and he collected all these video clips from Chinese TikTok. So TikTok is actually originally from China, and you have all these clips of people in quarantine doing like the craziest stuff. And he compiled it, and it was just so funny, and stuff like that. It's not poking fun at people. It's more like, hey, let's have a laugh about it together. I think that's the kind of comedy that is really, it's positive and it's uplifting and really, really funny. You had like the Corona Olympics, because the Olympics are canceled this year, obviously. You had people like, swimming at home in their bathtub, and you had people like doing curling on their kitchen floor. It was hilarious. So stuff like that, I think plays really well.
We'll have to get the where's that? Was that broadcast on Instagram or YouTube, or was it just?
He actually posted it on YouTube and also Weibo. It's the Chinese version of Twitter.
Right.
And he got like 100 million views. Like it blew up. Yeah. My like family members were like retweeting him, and I was like, wow, like he's internet famous now here in China. So
you have to send us the link. Send us the link, and then we can we'll link to it on our.
Definitely. I'll find one with English subtitles. That way.
Okay.
You guys
cool.
Can,
understand it. All right. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, I think that's the stuff that I've been enjoying the most, is just the dumbest, the dumb stuff that people are putting up there.
Right.
Just a silly laugh right now. But yeah, we'd love to share that.
Yeah, and that's what really communicates. That's what really connects us, right? As fellow human beings, right? We're all going through this time together. Like, how are we spending this time?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? Is everybody in the world is going through this together. So hopefully, coming out the other end, we can see each other as we're all the same in that regard.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right. Well, thanks so much, Jay, for joining us. It was great to talk to you. Maybe we'll get in touch with you again in a few weeks and check in when things have changed. But we do appreciate you spending the time with us, and enjoy your nice day.
Definitely.
there.
Yeah, thanks very much, Jay.
Thank you guys. Enjoy outer space. It looks fantastic.
It's nice. I feel really safe here. Yeah. All right. Take care.
Yeah. All right. Take care, guys.
Take care,
Bye.
Jay. Thanks very much.
Bye.
Bye for now.
Bye now.
We are Short Attention Spa, and we'll be here calling comedians every day until this thing is over.
Wash your hands. Keep yourself to yourself. Don't kiss the dog on the mouth. Don't put quarantine garbage out.
See you tomorrow.